Welcome back to the sanctuary of stardom. Welcome back to Secrets Behind the Stars. We're the ones who sift through the glitter to find the heartbeat beneath the headlines, your refuge for stories that value emotion as much as fame. If the surface-level noise leaves you cold and you yearn for a narrative that honors real connection, you're in the right place. Before we dive into today's saga of devotion and daring, make sure you subscribe and tap the notification bell so you never miss a moment. And for those who want to walk this path a little closer with us, joining our members circle is just a click away on the join button. Your support helps us keep pushing when others stop at the splashy line. Tonight, we're tracing a fault line that runs straight through celebrity culture, the collision of ambition with love, the moment when public image yields to personal truth. At the center stands actor Barış Arduç, who chose not the safety of silence, but the heat of honesty. In an industry that trains its brightest stars to measure every word, where even candor is often rehearsed, Barış did something unpredictable. Following weeks of speculation about his private life with Elçin Sangu, rumors that spiraled into whispers of strain, family pressure, and even financial friction, he didn't release a carefully crafted denial. Instead, he stepped into the storm and said, in essence, that no prize on a shelf could compete with the person who shares his silence. If it comes down to it, he explained, he would let the trophies gather dust and the offers pass by before he would let Elçin go. This wasn't a cute caption or a throwaway line, it felt like a boundary written in permanent ink. With one unambiguous admission, he pushed back against the idea that an actor's calendar outranks his heart. And those closest to him say his words weren't empty. We are living through a high tide in Barış's career. Sets calling, scripts arriving in stacks, producers hungry for his signature. Yet the murmur from inside his circle is that he's begun turning down opportunities others would fight to secure. The reason, they say, is time. Not time to party, not time to be photographed for the sake of being photographed, but time for the quiet routines and private moments that build a life. Breakfasts unhurried, conversations after the cameras go dark, an evening walk with Elçin where the only flash is the fading sunset. Naturally, the industry is divided. In the relentless climb of stardom, is this bravery or risk? Is it wisdom to protect the core of your life, or is it gambling with a future that doesn't often offer second chances? Barış deepened his stance with a sentiment that cuts against the glimmering currency of his trade. Accolades and bank balances, he suggested, ebb and flow, the glow fades, the applause always quiets. But to stand beside someone you trust without calculation, someone who sees you when the makeup is wiped away, that, he hinted, is the only constant worth defending. Across timelines and comments sections, fans seized on those words as if they were a lighthouse, sharing them, memorizing them, embroidering them into what people now label as proof that romance still beats inside the machine of fame. And so we ask you, Secrets Behind the Stars family, in a world that monetizes attention, is this the single sane act? Is it short-sighted to trade momentum for intimacy, or is it the only trade that actually pays off in the long run? Would you put your career on the line for the person who steadies your soul? Tell us in the comments. If this story of choice over chase resonates with you, show it some love with a like. And remember, clicking join keeps these deeper explorations alive. On the other side of this love story stands Elçin Sangu, who has chosen a very different response, the grace of quiet. While Barış spoke with unfiltered clarity, Elçin's public posture has been one of poised discretion. But make no mistake, silence is not the same as apathy. Friends close to her confide that behind the scenes, she was moved in a way she hadn't anticipated, confiding that his words landed not as theater, but as truth. She hasn't published a formal statement. She hasn't staged a rebuttal to skeptics. Instead, her response seems to be to live the answer. The two have appeared together more intentionally, not in a performative parade, but in simple, coordinated presence, arriving hand in hand, leaving without fanfare, sharing glimpses online that feel serene rather than staged. Look closely at their recent photographs and you'll notice something you can't measure with likes. The ease in their posture, the unforced symmetry of their smiles, the way their eyes stay soft even in a crowded room. Those images have done more to quiet the breakup chatter than any press conference could. They're a story told without captions, and audiences are reading it the same way, this looks like trust. What many don't realize is that Barry's revelation didn't erupt out of nowhere. Insiders say he wrestled in private first. He sought counsel from his closest circle, the people allowed to see him unglossed. Their message to him was straightforward: stop trying to outthink the rumor mill, say what you mean and mean it openly. Empowered by that advice, he voiced what had been growing in him for some time, that Elson isn't a chapter or a subplot, but the axis around which the rest of it spins. He reportedly told friends that she changed the way he understands success, that her presence rearranged his priorities not by demand, but by simply being who she is. Of course, with fame comes skepticism. There are corners of social media that prefer to believe every intimate moment is a marketing strategy, that sincerity is just another angle. Some have tried to cast his declaration as tactical, a bid to collect headlines and sympathy in one motion. But those living closest to the couple say this theory misses the mark entirely. The timing, the tone, the unvarnished timbre of his words, they argue none of it reads like a publicity plan. In fact, whispers suggest even Elson didn't see it coming in that exact form, confiding to friends that the unguarded nature of it surprised her and struck her heart more deeply for that very reason. As for what comes next, the map ahead looks steady rather than flashy. The talk around them is that the coming year holds intentional steps, shared projects that reflect their chemistry and taste, time carved out for trips where neither of them is performing, perhaps even the kind of private decisions that suggest permanence. Nothing in their recent behavior feels like a fling inflated by attention, it looks more like architecture. Coffee dates that don't need paparazzi to feel real, out-of-the-way getaways that offer no content except closeness, the simple luxury of knowing there's someone to call when a scene won't land or a day won't end. Fans are savoring these glimpses as if they were a bomb in a culture that often celebrates the breakup more loudly than the bond. Make no mistake, what Barış has chosen is a bet. He has put his momentum on the table and said that his connection with Elson outranks it all. In doing so, he has risked the judgment of an industry that often rewards detachment. But it has also made him feel startlingly, disarmingly human to those who watch him, more than a role, more than a headline, more than a number on a rating sheet. It's a live drama where the stakes aren't scripted, and every one of us is watching to see whether the industry leans in with admiration or turns away with caution. What do you think this means for the road ahead? Will this decision broaden his appeal, making him the rare figure whose groundedness is part of his draw? Or will the machine resent any reminder that the heart refuses to be scheduled? Should stars be allowed to protect the space that makes them whole, even if it costs them a trend line? We want your take. Share your thoughts below. Like if you felt the pulse of this story. And if you believe conversations like this matter, become part of our inner circle by hitting join. Your support keeps the light on for stories that look beyond the glitter. Before we go, let's be fair, no one outside these two knows every detail. What we share here lives between verified reports, first-hand accounts, and the delicate, unverifiable truths of feelings. We avoid treating guesswork as gospel. But what is clear, what is visible even through the fog of fame, is that Barış and Elson are aligning their public and private lives in ways that make sense to them, even if it puzzles an industry accustomed to a different script. The romance here isn't just in the grand statement, it's in the follow-through, in the appointments crossed off, in the evenings left unscheduled, in the unguarded laughter that slips through when the cameras aren't invited. And perhaps that's the takeaway, the reason this story has traveled so far so fast. We may adore red carpets, but what we crave are real priorities. We respect the hustle, but we long to see it serve something larger than itself. When a star like Barış speaks this plainly about what matters, and when someone like Elson answers not with a performance, but with presence, it reminds us that success is only as satisfying as the person you share it with. Whether they choose to formalize their bond in the months to come, or simply continue building it in the quiet, the point is the same: they're choosing each other in a world that demands to be chosen first. Thank you for spending this time with us at Secrets Behind the Stars. If this deep dive gave you something to feel, something to ponder, help it find others by liking, sharing, and subscribing. We'll be here, lifting the curtain on the stories that matter beyond the flash. Until our next episode, remember, the bravest role an actor can take isn't the most dramatic, it's the truest. Goodbye for now.